On today's episode of You Asked, why do so many movies considered to have great transfers to 4K Blu-ray look so noisy? Is there a problem with Hisense TV stock just ahead of the holidays? And how many calibrations should a TV get? Welcome back, everyone. I'm Caleb Dennison, and this is You Asked, the show where I answer questions you asked in hopes that I can help you and others with similar tech questions. If you've got a question you'd like answered, please email it to youasked@digitaltrends.com, and we'll see if your question gets picked to be answered on the show. We start this week's episode with a question from a DT member, John in the UK, who writes, how highly would you rate the 55-inch Samsung Neo QLED QN55D? I entered myself into a competition draw via Dolby. I fought it as hard as I could, but I can't help myself. It's interesting you entered a competition draw through Dolby for a TV that does not support Dolby Vision, but it does support Dolby Atmos. Anyway, John, I'm really sorry, but I think there may have been a typo in your email. I'm not aware of a QN55D, at least not in North America, and I don't know of one for UK or Europe either. Did you possibly mean the QN85D or QN95D? Let me know the exact model number, as I believe the 55 there should go before the QN to signify the size. And then the following number is the model or series number. Anyway, get back to me and we'll do a follow-up on that question and try and get it answered for you. Brendan wrote in about the Hisense 75 U8N being out of stock at Walmart, and he's concerned he may miss out on a big employee deal, but also concerned about the availability of that TV in general since it's so highly rated. So for any of you, if you've been eyeballing a 75-inch Hisense U8N from Walmart as well, my contacts at Hisense let me know that a restock order is due to ship in 2 to 3 weeks. That's what they said last week. That would place the item back in stock at Walmart during the first or second week of December. Now, I'm not gonna lie, for a while there, I was wondering if Walmart's acquisition of Vizio may have meant some Hisense models would be edged out strategically, but I'm happy to know this at least does not appear to be the case. Omar writes in, is it better to calibrate a TV twice, once for daytime bright and once for nighttime dark? I have never seen anyone mention this before and would like to know. Secondarily, is it common for TVs to have multiple preset slots for multiple calibrations? Thanks for the question, Omar. This is a really good one, and we have talked about this a bunch on the channel, but it would be easy to miss if you didn't watch every single one of these videos. So yeah, it is wise to have a TV calibrated for daytime or bright room use and then use another preset for nighttime or dark room use. This way, you can have a fully accurate mode and a mode that is better suited for viewing in the day when scenes that are displayed at their intended brightness, well, intended by the creator anyway, would simply be too dark to see unless you were in a pitch black room. There's plenty of content out there like that. Game of Thrones. And yes, one of the things we got the TV manufacturers to do for us is create multiple preset options with labels that make sense for day and night use. But a good TV can have any mode calibrated to perform how you want it to. So even the dreaded vivid mode can be made more accurate, but still bright for daytime use. I'm kind of joking about the dreaded vivid mode. I know a lot of folks out there like that. Blair writes, do soundbar systems work in the corner of the room? My TV is wall mounted in a corner of the room with the soundbar hanging just underneath the TV. Will Atmos soundbars work in a corner configuration? I'm interested in getting the new Sonos Arc Ultra complete system or the Bravia Theater Quad. Any recommendations on which one I should get? And Blair included a picture of the room, which helps a whole big bunch. Thank you, Blair. So Blair, in that room, you could go with either the Theater Quad or the Sonos Arc Ultra system. Now, I think the Theater Quad might be a little better since it can be placed more flexibly and you'll still get killer Atmos surround sound. But the Sonos Arc Ultra, I think, could work mounted under that TV. It'll work great, actually. The only thing is that any drivers shooting out to the sides of the Arc Ultra would struggle to give you some of the extended width to the sound, as they would not bounce off at the intended angle. And that might be hard for the Sonos TruePlay system, that's the self-calibration system, might be hard for that to overcome. But I'm telling you, it would still sound amazing, especially with the surrounds and the sub in place. So don't feel like you should skip the Sonos system because of that one concern. With that said, both would be great, but if this were my room, I think I would probably do the theater quad. Max writes in that he noticed when watching The Matrix, specifically in scenes including The Construct, that the white background is super noisy, even though The Matrix on 4K Blu-ray is known to be the product of a high quality transfer. They noticed it on a Bravia 7 with a Sony X800M2 Blu-ray player and on a Hisense U8K with a Panasonic Blu-ray player. And they wonder, is it normal for a movie to have all these noise issues? Yeah, Max, so this is something that keeps coming up, and I think that means we need to keep talking about it. The Matrix was shot on 35mm film, and not only that, but it was filmed using a lot of practical effects. One of the things that made that movie so interesting was the blend of traditional filmmaking and a more modern digital special effects space. That white background was not digitally manifested. It was an actual white background, though that doesn't necessarily account for it being noisy. What I know is that the film grain in 35mm film is very difficult to reproduce well when doing a transfer to digital. Digital scanning has to be done really carefully to get a digital representation of that film grain. The real issue, though, is that despite all the advances in TV image processing, that digital capture of film grain is hard to perceive as anything but noise to the TV's processor. And even if the TV's digital noise filters are disabled, the TV still has a hard time knowing what to do with all that noise. Now, that white background, if it was digitally inserted, would need to have had digital film grain added to it so that it worked with the rest of the movie that had actual film grain in the source image. Anyway, the noise is always there in that film. It's just way more obvious with bright light colors. And I think that's why it seems so severe to you. It's just easy to see and therefore potentially more distracting. Devin writes, will there be a full review on the Samsung QN90D besides the one that I see was done for members? The Sony Bravia 7 was my pick until I saw how bad the reflections are. So now I'd really like to hear your full thoughts on the Samsung. Hey Devin, thanks for writing in. So first I want to make a little correction to something that you said there, at least if I'm reading it right. I have not done a review on the QN90D just for subscribing members. I have shared some behind the scenes info as I've been testing the TV, and I've talked a little bit about some specific experiences and some questions that came up along the way. But the full review for that TV was actually just completed and published, as you hopefully saw, on Tuesday. Unfortunately, I don't know that the review I did, which was on the 98-inch version specifically, really gives you the help that you need. If you think the Bravia 7 may be too reflective, and I'm going to do an aside here and say that some viewers think that the reflectivity of the Bravia 7, at least in my perspective, was kind of overblown. Anyway, the QN90D would be a better option for you if you are concerned about reflections. I think so long as you're getting the 75-inch or smaller size, the QN90D will likely make you very happy. Thanks so much for watching, everyone. Hit me up in the comments section if you have follow-up questions or any comments on the topics that we covered today. Like this video if you did enjoy it. Subscribe to see more if you're new around here. We'd love to have you. I'll see you on the next one, and until then, here's 2 other videos I think you might like. I'm a pro, Chris. What do you expect?